occasionally you'll see a fighter that does something very artistic and striking that sort of elevates the standard. Like, did you see the Derrik Lewis Ciryl Gane fight?
Lewis does it again!
But I mean, Ciryl Gane, who's 6'5", 247 pounds, moves like a 170-pounder. It's crazy. He's bouncing.
With Francis Ngannou out of the picture, there's an argument to be made that Ciryl Gane is the single most impressive active heavyweight on the roster. Jon Jones will look to put that to the test in the UFC 284 main event. But for today's video, we're going to take a closer look at what he's up against, straight from those who have shared the ring with Bon Gamin. Jr Dos Santos was in a very tough spot in his career when the time came to face Ciryl Gane, but even still, he carried himself like a man who was ready to mount a resurgence, calling a win over Gane just one step towards recapturing his old title.
I don't think it would take too much for me to get a chance to fight for the title again. Maybe 3-4 good wins against top guys, you know. I would be able to get right back to the top of this division, you know, and fight for the title again.
Of course, the fight didn't play out like that. And though Gane was criticized for elbowing JDS on the back of the head, he was awarded the TKO victory. Though Jr isn't the type of fighter who usually gets into trash-talking spats, after Cyryl's victory over Tai Tuivasa last year, he came forward with a tweet that very clearly accused Gane of being a dirty fighter. Again, JDS has never been known as a bad sport, but there's clearly some bad blood there, and the controversial finish that Gane scored over him has seemingly not been totally forgotten. There was never going to be any real bad blood against two guys as likable as Ciryl Gane and Derrik Lewis. But that doesn't mean that there weren't some great moments when Derrik was forced to tussle with the French media.
You're gonna have to excuse my French, but fuck you and fuck him.
Their stare down was not lacking in its intensity either. Following the TKO defeat that saw him come up short in yet another UFC title fight, Lewis didn't have too much to say on the exact technical or tactical errors that cost him. What he did tell us, however, was that he wanted to fight Stipe Miocic, for the singular reason that he would be a big enough underdog that a knockout could potentially pay back his fans who had lost money betting on him versus Gane.
You know, I believe that I'm be heavy underdog in this fight, and it makes give my fans their money back from the Gane fight. I perform excellent, I believe, whenever I'm underdog.
Never change, Derrik. Gane's first shot at undisputed gold finally came when he served as the opening title defense in the reign of his old sparring partner, Francis Ngannou. Now, the fact that these two had history was one of the biggest talking points going into this one, and a moment in the gym where Francis may or may not have dropped Ciryl proved to be at the center of most discussions.
You went to the floor, Ciryl, and then you left the training.
So can you explain exactly what's happening?
Oh, you don't remember?
Tell the people.
Well, left high kick.
Left high kick, and you say you knocked me down.
You went on the floor or not?
I was on the floor.
Oh, you don't remember?
It was the perfect way to ramp up expectations for what would follow, instilling an added touch of suspense to the build-up. Had Francis improved enough to trouble Ciryl on his feet? Was Gane's overall MMA game sufficient to see him earn UFC gold? Well, Francis certainly amped up the mind games during fight week, hoping to get any advantages he could possibly gain over his rival. The fight itself was a razor-thin matchup that could have gone either way, and in the end, it was the wrestling of Ngannou that secured him the victory. But even he was forced to admit that he was surprised at how tough an opponent Gane was.
I know that he's going to be a tough opponent, no doubt. I know him, and well, I was surprised that he holds until the end of the fight, you know. But he was very very good, you know how to manage that. But the only thing that I had to do, and my coach were reminding me all the time, like stay composed, calm down, don't chase him, trust yourself.
With the belt still in his possession, prior to his eventual exit from the UFC, Ngannou gave props to Gane for his technical work in there with Tai Tuivasa, complementing his distance control and those painful-looking teep kicks that ruined Tuivasa's midsection.
Because as far as distance, he was able to, he's good at controlling that, and he was able to apply that in the fight tonight. And you can see the body tips, that's what get him the victory.
But what about Tai Tuivasa's thoughts on Gane? He's not one to game plan too heavily, and in the pre-fight interviews, he made that pretty clear to the media.
How are you gonna do to knock him out, and what's your game plan?
Go in there and punch him.
Surprisingly, the usually elusive Gane was drawn into a wild firefight with Tai Tuivasa, a thrilling contest that really posed some interesting questions of him. In the end, Cyryl's bodywork added up, and he eventually scored another TKO victory. Tai was as gracious as ever, admitting that he was beaten by the better man.
Shout out to Ciryl. He was better than me last night. Whatever night it was. Probably one of the best crowds I've ever performed in front of. The fans are crazy.
But Tuivasa definitely made a good account of himself. He even scored a knockdown. Gane himself made it clear that Tuivasa hit harder than any punch he experienced from Ngannou, which, if you recall, there weren't many of. So what does Jon Jones think about him? Well, in his estimation, Gane isn't even the best striker he has faced. Instead, he gives Lyoto Machida and Jr Dos Santos that honor. But you all know how Jon Jones gets. How he likes to demean the skills of his future opponents. So take this one with a pinch of salt. One thing that appears to be certain is that both men are as fired up as can be. Gane has reportedly been sparring with an added level of intensity to ensure that no stone is left unturned ahead of the biggest fight of his life. Jones himself has only shared sneak previews of his own sparring sessions, keeping much suspense in the air over his heavyweight frame and how he might look. Thankfully, we don't have long to go until the UFC main event graces our screens. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to click the bell to be notified of future videos. If you want to be featured next time around, leave a comment down below. And be sure to check out some of our other videos.